Picasso's freestyle. Let's do it. Hey, eating a couple wings with a couple kings. They're my favorite things. Hey, hey. That's all I got. I'm not a good freestyle rapper.
Wait, hold on. Let me think for a second.
Folks, welcome back. We don't need you to be a freestyle rapper because the Bills are getting it done step by step by step by step by step. Hope you had a happy holidays. Welcome back here to the Picasso's playoff push. And unless you've been living under a rock, the Bills have been pushing and pushing and pushing. And let's get a man here who's been pushing as well. Mr. Micah, happy holidays. Hope all was well. And we are back on the other side with a huge matchup against the Patriots.
Happy holidays, happy new year. Last home game of the season, 1 p.m. start, hosting the New England Patriots. Potential playoff berth scenarios going on today, potentially earning a AFC East title game next week in Miami. What else? Where else would you rather be?
Seriously, when we started this Picasso's playoff push roughly about a month and a half ago, yeah, the Bills were at 14, 25%, lingering around those, 1 in 5 odds. Felt like we were so far. It felt like we were a journey away. It felt like we had to go all the way across Middle Earth to go and deposit that ring and get one more shot at achieving immortality for Josh. But now, Micah, it feels like we might be nearing the gates of Mordor.
I love that. We're right there. We're right outside the gates. It's been a great run, such a fun run to watch. Even that Eagles game, like everybody was really down, but you really did like see the turn in that game, whether it was the confidence in Josh Allen with just the kind of performance he's been able to put on in that game and then going forward. But yeah, we've come a long way since we started this playoff push. I'm not going to say that we in Picasso's made this happen, but we definitely have had our hands in pushing forward and making sure everybody stays on track and stays focused on this playoff race, because here we are. We're in the last 2 weeks, and the Bills have 14 different scenarios where they can clinch a playoff berth today. So that's amazing. Like, if you would have told me that leaving that Eagles game going into the bye, don't think I would have believed you, honestly.
Seriously, you love to hear it. And I think you look back now at the Eagles game, like, and I know I've tweeted it in a little bit of like a, sarcasm mode, especially with, when they squeaked out the win against the Chargers. But basically, if Jake Elliott doesn't make a 60-yard field goal in a monsoon, not only are the Bills probably a top 3 to 4 Super Bowl contender, I think in virtually everyone's eyes, Allen's probably a little bit more of the clear-cut MVP versus kind of being a dark horse right now. Do you think?
Yeah, 100%. And that's what, like, football is a crazy game because it can come down to 1 or 2 plays like that, and I'll never forget that kick for the rest of my life, no matter what. But yeah, the Allen narrative is, it's not as strong just because that record's 9-6. It's not double digits by the end of the year. That's for sure. I still think that the ESPN this year has just decided to use Josh Allen as, this is the quarterback we're going to argue about every day. And I think that's hurt Josh Allen's chances more than anything else. And it's a shame because he's clearly, I understand the argument. Lamar Jackson's the favorite right now. Understand the argument. Lamar is, if you look at the exact definition of most valuable player, Lamar and Josh Allen are probably every year the most valuable players on their team because they're irreplaceable kind of talents on the team. But man, Josh Allen's been balling out all year long. and really, if you take him away from this Bills team, I don't know, are they 4-11 coming into this game against the Pats, battling for a top pick? Like, that's how it feels like.
It is very sketchy. I mean, obviously, yeah, the tertiary things have been okay and, enough to get it done, but it has been Josh Allen that has been getting the winning done. And speaking of getting the winning done, let's go to our updated playoff picture, Micah. And obviously, like we said, it was just a couple weeks ago, 14%, 20%. And now, as of this moment, we are cooking at 91%. So obviously super exciting. 2 games left. And like you said, things have become a little bit more simple. It's no longer, the Bills need to win and we need 6 or 7 or 8 teams to lose. There are, what'd you say, 18 scenarios where they can get in this weekend?
Yeah, I believe 14 scenarios, a lot of Bills wins. And the easiest scenario is a Bills win, a Steelers loss, and a Cincinnati loss, or a Bills win, Steelers loss, and Jacksonville loss. So there's pretty straightforward scenarios today. Those are all things that, are extremely possible going forward. But yeah, the fact that there are the fact that it's not like, oh, the Bills need a win and all this help to get it. It's like, no, there's multiple times where the Bills can tie and other teams lose around them and make the playoffs today. Like, it's crazy.
I was talking with Matt Perino 3 weeks ago, and he goes, there could be a sad scenario where the Bills are playing great, but they miss the playoffs because, the playoff picture. I'm like, don't even speak that into existence. I think that part of the reason that Bills fans were optimistic, even though it was 14, 20, 25% a couple weeks ago, Micah, was because we saw those teams in front of each other were playing each other. We saw those teams in front of us were, playing backup QBs, had tough matchups. So I think there's been a lot of reason for optimism there. So obviously, we go into this matchup against the Patriots, a lot to prove. Now, I have clicked this. I don't have the updated graphic there. But if you click the Bills to win this game today, it gets you to 98 to 99% to make the playoffs from what I can see. Give me 1 second. Let me just double check that again. To make the playoffs. Okay, so we click up Patriots win. Yep, 98%. So obviously we discussed, clinching. But for all sorts and purposes, a win kind of does that today. I don't want to say knock on glass, but obviously you take care of your business and then you worry about the rest, right?
Yeah, 100%. You're looking at, if you're looking at 98%, you're feeling pretty good going into next week, right? And then that scenario that happens is, it's interesting because if they win this week and the Dolphins also win this Sunday, like the Dolphins might be playing a bunch of backups and stuff this week. So those odds in this playoff predictor would change around. So there's a lot to still unfold with just this Sunday of games for playoff positioning for the AFC wild card. But the Bills, they have an opponent in front of them. The thing about this game, they have an opponent in front of them who they shouldn't overlook because they've already played and lost to this team once this year.
Already played and lost. This team just had a big win last week in prime time.
Huge win. Yeah, exactly. So this is like the playoff predictor takes into account probability of winning and everything else. And they're like, listen, this Bills team is going to come in locked in. Highmark Stadium's going to be rocking. Bills Mafia is not going to let Bailey Zappi hear his own thoughts. Like, that's what's coming into this. And I think that's a safe bet coming into this team, the way they've looked. I was, last week, my biggest worry going into that game was, is this going to be the same Bills that kind of sleepwalk through the game and do it? And they kind of did. They kind of did.
10-0. 10-0.
They kind of did, but they also found a way to win in the end and got some key stops and made some big plays. So this does kind of feel like the Bills turned a corner and that they deserve this sure of a chance no matter what, just the way it's all working out. And like you said, there's still so many teams that have to play each other in the next couple weeks. Even this week, KC and Cincy, where KC's not really they're still a little bit in the wild card picture, but they're not really in the wild card picture anymore. And it's just huge games around the NFL that are going to factor into the Bills this week still too. So yeah, like you said, it was never really that much of a worry in my mind because you looked at these teams, lesser quarterbacks, lesser teams, all playing each other. That path was going to open for the Bills if they just took care of business like they have been.
And the big thing, obviously, in that picture is, like teams like the Bengals and Jaguars who had tiebreakers over the Bills fell back. Those are obviously crucial, I think, in the big picture. Sure. And before we get into the small picture of today's game, let's look ahead a little bit. So obviously, if the Bills win today, these are the odds of getting a 2 seed. This has been on everyone's mind, I think, since last week when the Chiefs dropped that home game to the Raiders. It was kind of a blessing because you needed the Chiefs to drop one of these along the way, and for them to do so out the gate and kind of simplify the picture was awesome. But obviously, everyone kind of knows the deal in Western New York at this point. The Bills win the next 2 weeks, and the Dolphins drop the game to the Ravens today. The Bills will be a 2 seed with virtually 2 home games guaranteed in the playoffs. A massive opportunity, Michael, when you look at where they were at a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, the 2 seed was never something I considered. Even the division, just coming from a couple weeks ago with that loss when Miami lost to Tennessee, and you're like, oh, okay, this door might be cracking open just a little bit here. But this is, never would have expected them to get back to the 2 seed, and it's a testament to what the AFC has been this year. Like it's been a dogfight, and it's not that these teams it's not parity as much as I think the top level teams are just really damn good. And we've seen KC not be as, dominant as in years past, but there's still a good team figuring out. Like KC has had all these issues this year. The receivers can't get open. Mahomes is out here throwing tantrums on the sideline and everything. You'd think they would be like 6-9, and they're still a 9-6, a winning team. They've found good ways to win through their defense and everything else, but never would have thought that the Bills would have the opportunity to pass them. And so that win, that win over KC, when you looked at we broke it down into the 3-game chunk of that Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys run, and knew that they really needed that Chiefs game. It worked out perfectly for them. It really did. That they were able to win that game. That the Chiefs have continued to struggle down the stretch. Now the Bills, have a great opportunity going forward, where if you're playing in Buffalo in a divisional game, potentially with the Chiefs coming to town for that divisional game too, if you get to that point, it's a great spot to be in for sure.
Seriously. All right. Can you imagine that crowd getting Mahomes in Orchard Park for the first time in almost half a decade and the first time in the playoffs after multiple.
And first time with people.
Yeah, first time with people. So seriously, talk about unleashing. And just to get into it real quick, so again, we know this, 62% with the win. Again, you need 3 things. You need 2 Bills wins, 1-1, and then you need a Dolphins loss to the Ravens today to see that Tuesday. It became very simple, very quickly. And speaking of very simple, very quickly, let's go to our friend Carson in Orchard Park with Carves Countdown.
Oh, welcome to Carves Countdown, part of Turn Rick Sports pregame show, sponsored by Picasso's Pizza. Another week, another Picasso's playoff push. I'm here with Patriots fan Kevin. Been a rough season for you. How you been?
Been good. We're just optimistic for the future.
I mean, I respect that. The Bills have been there almost for so long, and here we are now. So the roles have reversed. First question: out of the Belichick era, which could end soon, what has been your favorite scandal?
I like Deflategate, got us into that Super Bowl 2014 against the Seahawks. Malcolm
happened again recently too.
It did, yeah. I mean, we would have beat the Colts anyways. It was like, 56-7.
Yep. Hey, I mean, who doesn't love a little Deflategate? So, all right, second question here. Let's get to it. Sunday, 1 o'clock here. Where is a weakness that the Bills can attack?
I mean, I could say any position on the team, but I'm going to go with quarterback. Mac Jones, he's benched. Bailey Zappi, he's not the best, I'm feeling like Malik Cunningham should be the starter. I don't think Bill's going to do that, but hey, switch things up.
Hey, I mean, Malik had an excellent preseason, so I totally understand it. Trent Brown, he's voicing his take on that too. And, before our last prediction here, which would be our score prediction, last question, Kevin, what is your hot take for the people Sunday?
Hot take, Patriots come out, do what they did last time against the Bills, get a nice win, send the Bills home crying, Or I guess it's home for the Bills, so send the Bills,
Send the Bills packing. That would hurt the playoff chances. What would be the score to that?
I'm feeling like a solid performance from the defense. The offense isn't going to do great, so I'm thinking 14-10.
Let's hope Kevin's wrong. Jake and Maniac, take it away.
All right, and we're back here. Thank you, Carv from Orchard Park. A lot of optimism out of that Patriots fan, but I think he was kind of ready for potentially a beatdown today.
He's ready for anything. That's a man who's seen too much this year. He's like, I don't know, man. The Patriots can't hurt me anymore. We'll see what happens. All
right, let's bring it down the tail run here on our Picasso's Pizza playoff push. You can't have Picasso pizza without bread, sauce, and cheese, the crucial accoutrements to any good pizza. So with that said, let's get it. I'll get into it. My bread, sauce, and cheese. As always, you need that foundation. You need a strong start. Belichick wants to kind of dictate the game from his perspective. He wants to be able to slow it down, wants to be able to take Josh Allen out of a rhythm. Strong start forces that Patriots offense to be more aggressive. Lets McDermott and that pin their ears back. Maintaining the urgency. It just kind of goes back to last week, that 10-0 start. Obviously don't want a bad start. Don't want to kind of lose track of where you are. Don't want to be blinded by that 90% number now that you've worked so hard to get it. Let's maintain it. Let's keep that back against the wall. Best mentality any way we can, any way we know how. And relishing the moment. It goes twofold because you were 14 to 20% to make the playoffs, a couple weeks ago. Obviously relishing the moment and being able to clinch or being able to, make a big piece, make a big step forward from that in front of the home fans and being able to end the Belichick era potentially. End this Belichick chapter for Buffalo on a high note. So relish this moment and let's go out there and get a win, doing those things.
I hadn't even thought of I don't think they'll fire him before week 8 after the season, but imagine if they blow the Patriots out like 55-0 and Bill Belichick
It would be amazing. This whole last week would be just talk about how he's a carcass anyway.
Yeah, that's true. It could be down he'll be down for a sad ending for big old Bill in New England coming up. But yeah, that was great. We were along the same lines with everything today. So my bread, sauce, and cheese. Starting off with limiting turnovers. Josh Allen threw a pick on the first play of this game against the Patriots earlier in the year. Literally the first offensive play snap of the game. Josh Allen interception. Can't do that. We need Josh to be clean. I know he's had picks pretty much every single game this year. There probably will be one today, but they can't lose the turnover battle. Last week, the only reason they are even in that game with the Chargers, or the Chargers are in that game with them, is turnovers. Special teams turnover, killer by Deontay Hardy. Different spots where you can't lose that battle and expect to win, especially going into January. So need to work on that. Need to push the pace. This is a team that scored 10 points going into the fourth quarter against New England. They need to be able to push the pace and lean into this offense today. I know the New England defense is the stronger unit, but this offense is what's going to get the Bills, and Josh Allen is going to be what gets the Bills to where they want to be in the playoffs. And so that leads into let Josh be great. That's just the story for the rest of the year. I've been saying it through every game since the Eagles game. They need to let Josh be special. Let him be his wild stallion self. You got to deal with the turnovers to make the big plays. Exactly. You just gotta let it ride. And I think
gotta ride him.
Been confident. He had a solid game last week. It was unspectacular, but I think that he's right for a bounce back opportunity. He plays well at home. He usually plays well off of a loss to a team like this previously in the year or in previous years. I have immense faith in Josh, but the offense just needs to let him go out there and cook and let him be who he is, running the ball, passing the ball, getting him out in space, everything.
Seriously, let Josh be Josh. That's our bread, sauce, and cheese there. And then let's get into our wild cards. For me, this is a unit or a wild card that has been super steady this season. I haven't even been able to really talk of them, and that is a good thing. The Bills' O-line, Dawkins, Brown, Morse, Torrance, and co. getting it done. And I really think if you are Belichick, it starts with disrupting that O-line. It starts with taking James Cook out of the game. It starts with making Josh Allen feel uncomfortable right away. And if you're the Bills O-line, you want to prevent that. You want to make those holes. You want to kind of execute the game plan. So I have a lot of confidence that Brady and co are going to be able to do so. But with that said, I'm confident in the defense. I'm confident in Josh Allen and the playmakers. Let's get that O-line protection and let's go execute against this Patriots team, Micah.
Yeah, I love that. This has been the O-line has been stronger than most years for Josh Allen this year. I think he's benefited greatly from that. That's why he's having one of the best years he's had. So I love this for their kind of wild card going into this game. Mine is Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid had a big game against the Patriots the first time, 8 catches, I think 75 yards. The last 2 weeks, Dalton Kincaid has 1 catch for 7 yards. That's what he had last week against the Chargers. And obviously that Cowboys game, they didn't throw the ball a lot, but it's been a really quiet Kincaid stretch here. And he had such an effective game against the Patriots. Feels like he needs to have another big one today. The receivers, you can't really trust any of them right now. Even Stephon Diggs, he's been struggling obviously since.
I think you can only trust Stephon Diggs right now on third down with virtually the game on the line. That's the only time. But you don't want to be there. Third and 10,
Stephon Diggs will catch an 11-yard pass. That is guaranteed. But he hasn't had a big game since week 6 against the Giants. We know Gabe Davis is either going to have 130 yards or 5 yards. And so it's really like Shakir or Kincaid. And I think Kincaid gets back involved in this offense and Allen finds him a couple times, maybe for a touchdown. But I think Kincaid, 6 catches, 7 catches today. That's the formula for a win for me.
Seriously, draw that up. And speaking of formulas, I didn't put one together. It's almost like taking the last day of the year off, even though I think that's kind of heresy. Same game parlay. You got anything for me?
I do. Going with my Kincaid pick here. The Bills over 26.5 points. They need to just score some points today. Get up to 30 points, get up to 40 points against this team. I want this game to be and expect this game to be more like the Commanders game than anything else. They should just dominate this opponent all day today, and on the scoreboard, it should look that way. And then a Dalton Kincaid anytime touchdown. That gets you to plus 393. So I like those odds there today for the Bills. But I think there's a lot of touchdown score that you could throw in your parlays if you wanted. But the over 26.5, I love that Bills.
Gotcha. And what odds did that get you to again?
Plus 393.
Okay. So we'll take that, folks. Those are good numbers. And speaking of good numbers, make sure you get to Goldbelly. Make sure you get to Picasso's Pizza, picassospizza.net, and order the best deals on the best pizza, whether it's in the USA or here in Western New York, Picasso's Pizza. Micah, it is time to go to work. Any final thoughts here before we sign off for the Picasso's Pizza playoff push?
Like you said earlier in the bread, sauce, and cheese, relish the moment, appreciate the opportunity. By 4:30 Eastern today, we could be set up for the AFC East title game in Miami next Sunday.
Seriously.
That's what we're hoping for. We're going to be, you're going to be in the stadium, locked in, giving your 12th man energy towards the Bills to get them a win. I'll be here sending mental energy towards both the Bills and the Ravens. We could be looking at a huge game, probably Sunday night next week. That's what we're looking at today. So
I was gonna say, if you get that 1 p.m. result, you won't have to wait till Sunday Night Football to see that flex. They'll be moving Miami to Buffalo to Sunday Night Football next week. But it is one game at a time. It is one play at a time. It is one push at a time. For Micah, I'm Maniac. This has been the Picasso's Pizza Playoff Push.